Thanks for joining me for collaborating with colleagues using Google Drive. Hi, everybody. I am Meg Ormiston, and you can reach me at meg@megormiston.com. Feel free to contact me after you watch this session. Any questions, anything I can clarify for you, I would love to communicate with you. First of all, Google Drive. Google Drive, I'm going to try to explain it. If you already have a full understanding, that's okay, bear with me. We'll get into some real practical ways to collaborate using Google Drive. But I know that a lot of people have heard it, but they don't really understand what Google Drive is. So I thought I'm going to go ahead and start there with what is Google Drive. And that is kind of the why that a lot of people skip. A lot of new technology people raced into Google, all excited, became Google certified educators, everything else, and they didn't stop to explain to the not early innovators the why piece. And I'll just give you a quick visual and a laugh. This is me, green. And at my house, I'm actually called the Google Witch. And now, looking back, I've been called that for about 3 years now at my house. And I was had boys in high school, and we were getting ready for the college search. And of course, I was very practical. I said, if we all made a Google document, if we all made a Google spreadsheet, we could all share it. We could add our information from anytime, anywhere. That's where the name came from. Would you stop with that Google thing? No, we're going to make a spreadsheet, and this is my husband. We will print it out every week, and we will have a weekly meeting. I still called the Google Witch at my house, but I think now in looking back in reflection, they didn't understand the why. And so that why piece is so important. So what is Google Drive? I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible so you could explain it to somebody that has never heard of Google Drive. First of all, Google Drive is built to work with Google. So Google Drive is part of the whole Google suite. I don't know, maybe they have a better word for it. But the concept is that you can get to your information anytime from any place that you can get on the internet. So gone are the days that you would go home for the weekend and need something that is on the server at school. We don't need a server at school anymore because we can save it to our Google Drive. Our Google Drive is anywhere we can connect to the internet. Our files are being stored on servers all over the globe, and it is called cloud computing. Now, don't freak out with that and say, I don't understand what that means. It means you can get to your stuff anytime, anywhere you can get to the internet. So when you hear cloud computing, that's what it means. It also gives us the ability to share specific files or folders. That is key to understand. I do believe the hardest part of using the Google tools are just remembering the sharing piece and how to share and when to share a folder and when to share a file. So you can share. So let's go back to my example of searching for colleges. I could have very easily made that one spreadsheet, shared it, and you can share through email or through a link. And I could just put their email in there, and then the document would have been shared. So instead of having the weekly meeting to add the information, anybody that found the information along the way, they could be editing the document in real time. The cool part about it is that there is only one document. What happened with us and what happens with you with your collaboration with colleagues is you run into this version. What's the latest version? Who's got it? I don't know. Did we email it? Did we print it? This takes away that whole issue because there is only one document. It's just one document and you share it with everybody. You basically allow everybody to get on the same page. Within Google Drive, there's different, I think this week they're calling them apps. That does change sometimes. Documents or docs is word processing. Sheets are spreadsheets. Slides are presentation suite, similar to PowerPoint kind of thing. Keep going down the list. Google Forms, hands down my favorite part of Google. Google Drawing is next, and I'm only good at Google Drawing if I'm on my iPad. If not, you end up drawing with your trackpad or your mouse, and I haven't quite mastered that yet. But then, in addition to those, kind of the basics, that's the kind of the suite of tools. Then there's this where you can add more apps. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. But it is amazing what you can add to Google Drive. Tools, add-ons, extensions, things to make your life much easier using technology. So the why. Why do we do this? Well, because Google Drive can take almost any type of file. A lot of people don't realize that, and they think it is just for the Google Drive. Like if you made a sheet or a presentation. No, you can take almost any type of file and upload it. So if a student makes a movie in whatever program they use, that could be iMovie, you can upload it right to Drive and then they can share it. That piece is key. Also, if you're reading the fine print onto the right, it says you have 15 gigs free. Not if you are a Google Apps for Education school. If you are if Google is powering it, or there's different words, but Google Apps for Education, they are giving you unlimited storage. So no one is going to come to you and say, clean out your server, because it's unlimited. Yay! Which is great. All right, and some great things in Google Drive. I don't want you to be all confused. You've all these people sharing and so on and so forth. You can always see what's going on. You can see old versions. So let's say your team gets together and goes in, you're just not sure. You can see old versions. You can scan documents. That's new to me. I was like, I want to explore that a little bit more. The work offline piece is really interesting. And my idea, I work with a lot of schools that have wireless connections at school, and that's okay, but then students take the device home and they don't have internet. It is, from the magic of Google, somehow you turn on or turn off working offline, and that way you can continue to work on a document. The next time you get to wireless, somehow it all syncs up into one. It's amazing. I think that is such a great feature. And so I use that a lot when I'm on an airplane, when I'm traveling, the whole work offline piece. And so this is the scanning. This is the thing I'm going to learn next, is we can go ahead and scan receipts, documents. And this one is an Android, so I don't know if it's an app. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper into this one. All right, why? Why? We've covered the why. The why is, oh, no, we haven't really covered the why, because I am no longer called the Google Witch at home, because both boys went to college. They had to call me in the first week, and they had to say, Mom, I don't understand this Google thing. Hello? And I'm like, oh, the witch is busy. So I did hang up just out of, because that's what moms do. No, I called them back. But over 80% of our universities, and I think that's a conservative number, are powered by Google. We need to get our students ready for the real world of college and career. A lot of businesses are run completely by Google. So the how, let's dig in. First of all, how do you get started? My number one way, you might have it at school, they might have given you an icon on your desktop, but if you can't figure out how to get started, go to Google. In the upper right-hand corner, it's going to say sign in. And you're going to go ahead and sign in with, usually your tech person has given you your ID, but it's usually the same one that you use with email. And then if you look over to the left, if you're looking in the upper right-hand corner, if you look over to the left, there's those grid of squares. One fifth grade class called it the waffle. Go to the waffle. I'm like, that works for me. So go to the waffle, and one of the options is Google Drive. You can see there's lots of different options. These are shortcuts, and you can modify this for the ones that you use most of the time. Google Drive is always going to be the triangle. And once you open up your drive, then new. In the old version, in the classic version, it says create. Just look for the red bar. Google is pretty famous about keep changing names, so you have to be kind of a flexible learner and just be kind of looking for some keys. So new or create, it doesn't matter. You're going to go in, and there you can see where I told you about the Google Docs, the Sheets, the Slides, and then more. All right, so there's all different apps. You can keep adding and adding. We'll get to more details about that. First thing, when you get started, is go ahead, and I picked Docs, which is word processing. So I went and picked Docs, and the first thing you should always do is to name your document. So go ahead and click in the upper left. It says Untitled Document. Click there and name it. one of the cool parts about using Google Drive is you don't have to save. You, it automatically saves as you're working. And so save the document and automatic, and then you never have to go back. No file save as. You can always rename that. You can see or make a copy and give it to a friend. But once you name it, it's going to continually save. That takes a while to get used to, I will tell you that for sure. And then the other thing too is you can see here in the file menu, download as, and that's where you can pick to download it as a Microsoft Word document or as a PDF or whatever you'd like to go ahead and do. Really interesting. All right, this is my drive. My drive is a little bit of a mess right now, but you can see these are all files. Most of it's down files. The top like 5 are files, and then you can see those 2 gray ones are folders. And so you can have files, you can have folders, and you can see over to the right, these are all of these things have been shared by me. So Kristen had gone and saved that document for me for the first one, and then Sonia had done that, and so on and so forth. So you can see who created the document, and then you can see that I have them organized by shared by me. On the left, where it says My Drive, I can go ahead and click on that little arrow and open up, and it will show everything. I'm going to take a moment to go back to the naming of your document. Well, as far as I know, there's not a limit to what you name it, but the search is awesome within Google. So try to be descriptive. So if it's going to be collaborative notes from 3rd grade team meetings, 2016, 2017, be smart and name it, just pick big names, because then when you go to search, you have a better chance of finding that document if you can't find it in the list here. I end up using the search. You can see it across the top. I use the search all the time. So name your document, make up a big long name, and then here's the key, and this is going to take practice, is the sharing. You need to just practice it, share it with trusted friends to go ahead and kind of get the hang of it. Well, first share is you can put in email addresses. If you're a Google School, those addresses will be populated for you. Right there, you just type in the first couple letters of your friend's name, and it should populate for you. If not, you can come in here and you can change. See where it says midway down, it says anyone with this link can edit. So when you go into change, I'll show you next, you can go ahead and make a lot of modifications here. You can see I own the document, and so I go ahead. So this is, if you click on the change, this is the dialog box that you get. Yours might look slightly different because if you are Google Apps for Education, you might have additional features. Key to understand them though. One of the options that many of you will see is share with everybody in the district. That means everybody. So you probably won't be using that very often. I mean, everybody. Students, teachers, everybody. So I very often will use anyone with the link. And then you can see right there, I can just let them look at it. They can comment on it, or they can edit. You have to make the choice. So let's say that we are all working as the social studies department at a middle school. I would go ahead and make the document, team meeting notes, 2016, 2017, whatever it is, team meeting notes, and then I'm going to come in here, but I want to give you, my colleagues, I want to give you editing rights so we're all on the same document. So who's ever at the meeting, who's ever taking notes, can actually write right in the document. So that's key to understand, like, what's your purpose. For example, your principal might send out the school improvement plan, but he doesn't really want you to be in there editing it. He just wants you to view it. So it depends. This takes practice. And you'll get documents, and you'll get them from your friends, and they'll say, you didn't give me permission to share. Don't worry, you can always go back and make those changes. There's lots of help within Google. So if you're confused, what I always do is I always share it with a trusted friend first to make sure I shared it right before I send it out to a larger group. But there's great help all within the Google environment. I can't stress the organizing part and I can talk a good game, but if you looked at my hard drive, it's kind of a mess. But what you want to do is you want to organize your files before you upload them to Google Drive. If not, you're going to have a mess over here, and you're going to have a mess in your cloud. So you really want to take some time, put your feet up, and organize before you start uploading files upon files upon files. This is the searching that I shared with you. It really is good, but you can see my, well, I'm learning. Agricultural education probably should have been a little more detailed about that. I'm getting better taking standards-based, so I'm trying to use the longer titles. This is a Common Core Math third grade standards. This team, I watched them evolve. I watched them evolve from how do we they were sharing on the shared drive at school, all their work around the Common Core for third grade, but then they wanted to move to the cloud, and I can see in 2012 when they made the big jump, but immediately this folder became a mess. Everybody was uploading. It was a pretty big team across different buildings. It became a mess. They had to come together, and they picked out, you can see they picked out those folders, and then kind of the extra stuff floated in there. This is another group that I helped to organize in 2013. And what's interesting is I didn't give them the why, and they were users of technology, but they didn't understand the why. Why should we collaborate? Why should we share? They couldn't understand that. So it didn't work as well as I would like to admit. It did, but we're all getting better. This one is, I have multiple Gmail accounts, so I share back and forth between two different things. You have to be careful who you share. Right there, the Augusta Food Labels one is shared with about 10 people. We recently had somebody leave the group, and so we want to go back in and take that person off the sharing ability of that. So you have to really understand that everything that goes into a shared folder, everybody you share it with can have access to it. So just be thinking about that as people move to new positions and things like that. There's a lot of add-ons, and Kazina would be considered that's how I'm saying it, Kazina would be considered an add-on. And it's an add-on that I wanted to mention to you. It's an add-on for Google Documents and I believe now presentations. But again, that changes a lot, so just be flexible in understanding that. And so what you do is, you're in the Google environment. There, do you see where it says add-ons? I've added on Kazina. And what Kazina does, it allows you to leave voice comments as well as type comments, color-coded, within a student's document or a colleague's. So let's say you're going to do your team meeting notes. We're going to be super organized this year. You're going to do your team meeting notes using Google Docs. Your principal, you're going to share it with your principal, so you don't have to make hard copies and put them in her mailbox. And she can come drop in, use the Kazina to leave you as a voice comment about anything that she sees within your document. And to get that, to get Kazina, you go back to your new, more, and then you might even have to scroll down to even more, and then you come into this. And what this is, all of these are apps that you can add to your Google Drive experience. And you can see the ones with the checks are the ones that I have added. It's amazing how often this changes. I hadn't been in a while, and I came in and I'm like, what's this? This is new. This is new. So there's a lot of features, a lot of additional features is all I can say that can be added within the Google Drive experience. All right, that was just a super beginning to give you some ideas on how to collaborate. You're going to learn how to use Google Drive by using Google Drive. Practice, practice, practice. Work with your colleagues, make mistakes in a safe environment. But again, there's my email. If you need me, just send me a note and I would be happy to help. Have a great day.